Welcome, everyone, to Energy Unleash, the Midlife Reset podcast. I am so excited for today's guest. We have someone who is an expert in clearing negative energies in homes, a certified angel guide, intuitive, and so fun. I can't wait to chat with her today. And she's also an author with a new book, Echoes Within the Wall. Welcome, Sam Ritchie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, really good. It's been an exciting week.
And you're there are you in Spain?
I'm in Spain, yeah. But I'm obviously English.
Yes, I love the accent. This is going to be such a fun episode. I'm so excited to have someone like you on. I would just love to get right into it. If you can explain to us, what does that mean, an angel guide, for those who are not really spiritually in tune, just needing that extra lift and inspiration. And then how did you come to find out that you had this amazing gift, which I believe all of us have that gift, just some are more heightened than others. So if you can just explain to us a little bit about that. This is exciting.
I totally agree with you. We have all got it. It's just it's more closer to the surface than others. So it basically, as a child, I was always between worlds, well, more in the spirit world. I could always see things that other people couldn't see. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s that someone said, not everyone can see this stuff. You probably shouldn't talk about it quite as much. And then obviously I shut it all down. Well, tried to, not very successfully, I have to say, but I did try to shut it all down because it wasn't acceptable. And then, so I've always had this, and it's always been a part of my life. But then I came across space clearing totally by accident. So I was an estate agent in London, and I was always able to sell the properties that other people couldn't sell, that were stuck on the market. And I never knew why until very recently, actually. And if there was a spirit lingering about, I would just move them on because that's what I did. It was totally natural and nothing odd about that for me. And then we roll on a few years. I had 2 kids. We moved into a new house, and I knew there was no spirits lingering, but the energy was off. It was just a dark place to be. And I mentioned it to a spiritual friend, and she said, "Oh, you want to space clear that?" So that was before Google, so I had no clue what space clearing was. So I had to look it up and
Right.
And I literally just clapped and had incense. That was it. And as I went around my house, I saw all of the history coming out of the house, and it wasn't particularly pleasant. But when I spoke to my friend again, I excitedly told her all this stuff I'd seen, and she went, "You do know, most people, when they space clear their houses, don't see this stuff." But I just thought that everyone did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then we moved to Spain. Life gets in the way. We ran a bar here, and there was entities floating around our bar, but they were always friendly, so there was no problem. And then COVID happened, and I found myself in lockdown. And all this time in my hands, no longer working at that point, we'd given up the bar, and I was working for someone else in a kitchen. And obviously now I have no job. So I took the time to study with Kyle Gray and become a certified angel guide. And that's basically, I read oracle cards. So over that time, so many people were struggling. I probably did about 500 free oracle card readings. And then people wanted to pay me. I was like, hang on a minute, I can feed my family doing this.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it became your lifestyle.
Yeah. So I set up a website, set up a Facebook page, and I put space clearing on it, thinking it was going to be a very small part of my business because I live in rural Spain. It's only going to be people that have a serious problem with their property or that are spiritually aware that are going to want space clearing. I'd been space clearing all of that time. I'd space cleared every property that we've lived in. And if a person came to me and they were having trouble sleeping, or there was a funny smell, or things were moving, I'd go and space clear their house for them. And then a friend of mine, I space cleared their house, their holiday home in Spain in person. And she contacted me about, it'd been about 10 years. I'd totally forgotten I'd done it. And said, I've got this family property. It was my grandparents' house. It's got tenants in. It needs essential maintenance and I can't get in. And she said, Sam, can you space clear it from a floor plan and an address? And I said, I have no clue, but I'll give it a go. So I just followed the guidance, and the guidance was to draw the plan out by hand to connect with the energy of the property. And as I did that, I got loads of information, including her grandparents' names. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, so yeah, I might be able to do this then. And
Wow.
yeah, it was quite amazing. But the best thing was within 24 hours, it wasn't even 24 hours. She contacted me to say the tenants had agreed to let the builders in and everything was on schedule to happen. So it was like,
Oh my goodness.
that was a bit of a game changer. So now I
So
space
when
clear
you
all
were
over the world.
all over the world remotely, you're able to just by visualizing and sensing, I guess feeling the intuition of the person and their address, and you're literally remotely visualizing the property, and it just with your guides, your angel guides are just giving you the information.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, are you channeling while you're
Yeah.
doing this?
Yeah, definitely. It's not me.
Oh,
They're
wow.
using me because they need a human.
So then, okay, so let's rewind a little bit. For those who don't know, I guess, too much about the spiritual world, with the clairs, there's multiple clairs. So with you, it's more you see and you hear
It depends.
from the higher beings.
It depends. It can be all three or one of them. It really does depend. And there's no rhyme or reason. I can't work out when it's going to be one or the other.
So interesting. You just let it come, and but you felt this like since you were a young girl, you
Yeah.
were able to like see certain things and you didn't know
Yeah.
quite what it was, right?
I was
Oh my
terrified by
goodness.
people. People terrified me. I was much happier in the spirit world. I would hide if the doorbell rang. I would physically shake if I walked across the classroom at school. School was not a good place for me as a child. And it wasn't it.
Wow.
Think I was about 12 when I made a decision that this was no way to live and that I was not going to be scared anymore. And so since that point, I've been pushing my comfort zone until the point I thought I didn't have one until it came to sending my book to the publisher. And suddenly that button was really, really hard to push.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then this is basically from your childhood through your adult life. It was always just more comfort in the spiritual world. And
Yeah,
still, of course, you communicate and deal with people because you were a real estate agent, so you
yeah,
can communicate. It's just you always feel more comfortable with that, knowing that there's other worlds out there
yeah,
and you can see and communicate with them.
yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And so for those who are very spiritually in tuned, I can feel energy and more so feel the room, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's a different sense when you're dealing with the spiritual world. Is it just like a feeling, like a knowing, or how are we able to sense when we walk into a house or a home if there's anything negative in the room?
Okay, well, we've all had occasions where we've walked into a place and it can be the most beautiful place and we just don't feel comfortable. We just don't like it. And there's no reason for it.
Uh-huh.
And it's also, we've all had the opposite where we've just walked into a place and felt totally at home. And what we're doing there is picking up the energy. And how I see it is like a block of clay. Everything's energy, right? So just assuming that
Uh-huh.
everything's energy. So we all leave an energetic imprint wherever we go. So it's like a block of clay. A building has a memory like the clay does. So the bigger the energetic handprint, the situation that's happened, the bigger the memory and the bigger the impact it's going to have. So if something really not good has happened in a property, that is going to be felt by the people living there. And it can
Oh, wow,
cause all
because
sorts of
of the
problems.
and because which this will lead into your book, but because within the walls, echoes within the walls, is it because of the substance that these energies like to cling on and stay in the
No, it's like we all give off a energy. Okay. So someone could say something, just a throwaway comment, but it sticks with you. And it's the same with a building. Those memories are held by the building. So there doesn't have to be an entity or a spirit there still. It can just be the memory of whatever has happened that can be causing a problem.
like a vibration, like it's the
Yes.
vibration
Yeah,
of the
definitely.
area.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I see. This is so interesting because I love energy so much. So I do chakra balancing and working with energy, trying to get better intuition and Reiki, but more focusing on the body, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you have these energies that are all around us that we can actually use our mind, our intention to heal our body,
Yeah.
balance our body. However, the world is so huge and there is this other world out there, right? So there's always energies and or entities around it because
Yeah.
it is multiple worlds. We're here on Earth. What do you call it? Are we the 3D or how would you explain where we are physically and what that other world is?
I think most people are at 3D. We're living in a very physical world, and a lot of people
Uh-huh.
aren't spiritually aware, which would be make them 3D. Um,
Uh-huh.
then everyone's who's on a spiritual path is trying to get to 5D, which is basically where
Uh-huh.
the material things don't matter. So we can communicate without having the internet or having to speak. We can telepathically communicate. We're not bogged down by money and things like that. Uh, I'm not. I'm not naive enough to think that I'm at 5D. Right? I think I've got some way to go.
Right. Right.
However, I
Right.
would
Right.
like
It's not an easy reach each
no,
level.
no. I would like to think I'm top end of 3D and maybe 4, but I'm
Uh-huh.
definitely not 5 as of yet. I'm working on it.
As of yet. Yes, yes. The more you practice, the better
Yeah.
things get in general, just like riding a bike. So you're saying it's like a certain muscle. Like, can you explain or take us through that little journey of if, let's say I was your student and knowing that I work with energy already and I am much more sensitive than years ago that I used to be.
Yeah.
Things have happened in my life, like manifestations, things actually happening because of my intention and energy and being more focused and mindful. How, if I was your student, would you tell me for me to improve my sixth sense, or how would you explain this?
Yeah, it is definitely a muscle that if ignored, well, it's like I couldn't run a marathon because I've done no training. So it's the same with spiritual things. Also, I have no
Uh-huh.
interest in running a marathon, but that's another thing.
Yeah. That's not
um,
your thing. I want
no,
to
it's not
speak to the spiritual world. That's my thing.
yeah. But if you think of babies, they we all come here with this knowledge that we forget. My kids, when they were young, especially my youngest daughter, used to talk to me about her other mummy all the time. But we
Wow.
lose this as we grow up because it's not acceptable in normal life. We're
Uh-huh.
programmed by the television, by our parents, by schools
Yes.
to block this
Yes.
sort of thing out. This thing is woo woo, where actually it's our natural
Yes.
giving ability.
Yes. 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 I've
So
always felt that.
yeah, so it's reclaiming who we are. And the best way to start is to meditate. And that can be if,
Uh-huh.
you can't, I'm not talking about sitting still for 3 hours at a time and umming, although you can if you want. Um, but just
Uh-huh.
walking in nature and paying attention to what you're doing while you're walking without music or listening to anything, just being in the present moment starts to open you up to things, to your own
Yes.
ability.
Yes, I'm huge with nature and being mindful and like walking meditation, but be
Yeah.
in nature. And you know what's funny? Since I've opened up to energy healing, I feel, and again, people think, oh my God, you're a hippie now, you're so woo-woo, but like not like a specific words, but like it's like a feeling like here in Coral Gables, for instance, I'm in Miami, Florida, and there are certain parts where they have like these gorgeous, huge trees where the roots look like they're intertwined and just beautiful. And I'm like, I feel like that's like a grandfather, like an ancient grandfather, like speaking to me or like a comfort. It's like a comfort and like safety. And it feels so good as if trees are also speaking to you, but
Yeah.
they're known to hold wisdom, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. Because everything's energy. So that, and a tree is a growing, living thing. So of course it's going to hold the energy too. And a lot of trees are ancient.
Beautiful.
So what have they seen happen? You know? So they've got a lot
Right,
to share
right.
with us.
And so you, someone who has that expertise, that extra heightened gift, if you did go to a tree and you had some time there, probably with all those memories absorbed through people sitting and walking, or maybe they had, say, a breakdown one day sitting by the tree. Point is, it's energy and absorbed. So you perhaps could be sitting there one day and all of a sudden get some message. Probably it's because there's a memory held within there, right? Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, so I've space cleared land that was for sale, and this land was on one of the Spanish islands. And there was no reason this land wasn't selling. There was land around it that had sold. This land was in a better location, just where it was in this place, and it was at a good price, but it wasn't selling. And when I space cleared it, there it would been. I got the date 18 something. I can't remember exactly, which was when the family had purchased it. And since then, the plan had always been to build a house on it, and it was never built. So there was these emotional ties. And as this land passed down through every generation, this disappointment, this wish unfulfilled got stronger and stronger and was stopping the land from selling. I also got given American caravans, like in Wild West films. I was like, that makes
Yes.
no sense to me. On a intellectual place, it made no sense. This is a small Spanish island. Why would that be? So I've learned that I have to trust what I'm given. And just even if it
Uh-huh.
doesn't make sense to me, doesn't mean it's wrong. So I said to my client, and he went, oh, yeah, that definitely happened. Okay. But by clearing those and for cutting the energetic cords, that land sold really quickly afterwards. So there was no building there. So
Wow.
the land holds the memory too. Um, we went to France to where all the trenches were and all the big battles during World War II, and you can feel it in the air. You can really, it wasn't a nice place for me to be because obviously I wasn't there to space clear. When I'm space clearing, it's different from when I'm just me. But it was uncomfortable to be there because of all the death and fear that was in the land.
Oof. For you, that has to be also like a heavy feeling because you're channeling and getting all this information. Do you sometimes feel physically weak or very thirsty, dehydrated? Do those side effects happen to you like daily?
It's my energy every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. And in fact, on my website, there's a free energy protection meditation. It's only 10 minutes long, just
Oh,
because
nice.
it's really does make a huge difference. And if someone wants to space clear for themselves, because we can all do it, then do that first, though. Protect your energy because you don't want to let anything in. Um, but when I'm
I
working,
love
it's
that.
a different thing. And I know I can literally see my angels around me. It's like the paper chains you used to make as a child, but the angel paper chains, but they're really, really bright and they're in a ring around me and I can see them. So I know I'm safe.
How beautiful. Yes.
But it can
Now,
make
is
me
it
feel
multiple?
sick. Yeah. When I'm working, I have multiple. I think I've got 3 that are here with me all the time. Um, but everyone's got at least one. Everyone's got at least one. I think I've got 3 that are permanently with me. But then the
Because you
others,
feel them, you feel the same type of energy.
yeah. But the others pop in to help when I'm working.
That's so awesome. And so we don't have to go labeling things, but like a psychic medium is pretty much what you are as well, right?
Yeah. However, I don't really like that label.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying exactly. But for others out there, so they know you're
Yeah.
a angel guide. You receive the wisdom and the messages from the angels above.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Relatives as well. The reason I don't like psychic medium is because I can't guarantee that your Uncle Fred is going to show up when I'm giving a reading. Who wants to show up shows up.
right?
So sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and I have no control over that. Yeah, which is why I don't like the phrase medium. It's almost like, oh well, I want to talk to my granddad, so I'll go and see the medium and they'll be able to contact him. That isn't what I do. They do come through,
Uh-huh.
um, but only if they want to, and I can't call them in.
That's so cool. This is so fascinating to me. And so I'm not skeptic. I totally believe in the spiritual world. I've been doing meditation for quite a while. I believe in our higher power and energy. Everything speaks to us. I am all about that. I had a reading done by someone before. I've always been not obsessed, but like love astrology, the moon and stars, and I was told that one of my spirit guides was deeply into astrology, Arabic type look, I guess you can say, but that's been a guide in my life. And then I've always been drawn to hummingbirds for some reason, like a deep love. I went one time to a retreat in Sedona, Arizona, and there was just a swarm of hummingbirds. And to me, they're just so fascinating. I even have a tattoo of a hummingbird. That's a part of my logo for my new business that I've been starting. So, what can you say to that? If somebody else is going to tell me this information, it was nice to hear. And I felt good with that information because I was like, huh, maybe that's why I've always been drawn in like when there's a full moon and just. I remember being a child and couldn't wait to do the field trip at the planetarium to see the universe and the galaxies. And I know my truth, but what can you say to that?
Okay, so if you're interested in moonology, look up Yasmin Boland. She's amazing and knows a lot more about
Okay,
it than
cool.
me. Okay, Yasmin Boland. She has moonology diary, which tells you when all the moon phases are and what you should be doing with the moon phases. I've been using that for about
Eh,
3 years now. Um,
nice.
with the hummingbirds, pay attention when you see a hummingbird, right? It's telling you you're on the right track. So
Ooh, I love that.
if you have a question and you
That gave
don't
me the
know
chills.
if you don't know whether you should be doing something or not, say ask for a sign. Say, if I should do this, send me a hummingbird. Right? So that could turn up on the telly or in nature in any form, or a brooch. I don't know why I'm being told a brooch. So look for the brooch.
Oh my
uh,
gosh. So
it is helping you. It's one of the signs that your guide, who is definitely connected to hummingbirds, is sending
I
you
love it.
to show you you're on the right path.
That's so precious. And the swarm of hummingbirds. I mean, this location always had hummingbirds, but it was the point that it was just a nice feeling, like a very comfortable feeling when I ran into it at this little cafe walking through the red rocks. But ever since I was younger and just drawn to it, the first time I was able to get a tattoo as a hummingbird, this the connection in a way.
Yeah.
And then through my spiritual journey, just with nature in general, I'm just like in an instant peace. And I'm like, what does all of this mean? You know?
I don't know what the meaning is, but it's definitely a signpost. Interestingly enough, I had an angel tattoo before I worked with the angels.
How cool is that? So it's probably our subconscious,
Yeah.
our inner being
Or
is
they're
drawn to
going,
that
will
for
you
a
please
reason.
pay attention?
Look, I'm gonna put you, yeah, exactly. Put you right there on my body. So funny. Now, do you think we could have a multiple, like, so that's spirit animals, for instance. Could that be my spirit animal?
Definitely. Definitely.
Because I'm also drawn to dragons. So that I wonder.
You can have more than one. And if
Right,
you
right.
need to look into dragon energy as well. And that's Diana Cooper's the one for that. Um,
Egg.
she can help you with that. But it's definite. You can have more than one spirit animal. So why not? Why not? But look up the
Wow.
meaning,
Yeah.
especially if you have a specific like color dragon or something. There is actually dragon oracle decks, which you might find
Yes,
useful.
I heard of
Have you
that.
got some?
Yep. And the energy of the dragon. I was reading upon that and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can relate totally. There's different worlds out there and that's just so interesting. And even like with Chinese medicine, and they said that that's very powerful,
Yeah.
the energy of the dragon. And so you can vouch for that, that there are spirit animals that are drawn to people for whatever reason that they are in their
Yeah.
life. And so this is a show to help those in their 40s and 50s, 60s, if they're feeling, a little bit like down, or just sometimes in this stage of life, they just don't know where to go, or maybe they're not so spiritually in tune, or they feel like a missing piece. How can they draw closer to their spirit guides to help them? Like, what do you suggest for them?
Oracle cards. Anyone can use them. You
So
don't
cool.
have to be spiritual to use them. Make sure they've got a guidebook. You don't need to have a connection, if you like. You can read the book,
I'm
right?
so
And
sorry. Is that
follow
the
the
same
guide.
as, okay, so what you said, is that the same as tarot cards or is it a different
Similar.
type? Okay.
Tarot cards. I've actually bought my first deck of tarot cards because I've always were away from them. But it's really cute. Look. Oh, it's upside
Let
down.
me see. Closer, a little closer. Let's see. Oh, cute. They are cute.
They are cute and they're
Okay, so
handbag
they're
size.
different symbols, but
Yeah,
the same type. It's a tool, correct? A
it's a
spiritual
tool.
tool.
So tarot cards have a set amount of cards. They also have like wands, cups. They have suits. That was the word I was searching for. Whereas oracle cards
Oh, yes.
don't have a set amount of cards, um, and they can be very diverse. So for me, I've always gone oracle cards rather than tarot because they feel lighter to me. Although this one, it's light seers and it does feel lighter, and it was shouting at me, so I had to buy it. Um, but
Oh my, see, so your intuition, yes,
yeah,
it called at you.
yeah. But also by using oracle cards, your intuition will get stronger. So all you need to do is read the book every time you use them. I do it every day. You say, thank you, angels and guides, for reminding me of your presence and revealing what I need to know today. And if you've got, there's always in the book, there's spreads as well. So you
So
don't
that's what
need
I need.
to
I need a
see.
book.
Yeah. But make sure you
Yes.
buy a deck with a book in it until
Okay,
you
so
get
I'll try that.
attuned.
Yes, yes. No, I have the tarot cards, and let me tell you, I haven't messed with it too much, except for three times at a time when I was just at a very deep moment of uncertainty. And when I had pulled them and went through the cards, I was shocked at what I had pulled. And like, there's a certain way that you can lay them down and what this and that means. And so when I pulled it, it actually gave me like the meaning of what I subconsciously knew, like that's where I was at that moment. One was maybe not what I wanted to hear, but I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get through it. The other one was like exactly the path of the new journey that I was taking, and it made me felt so good. I even took a picture of it. I was like, oh, this is it. But only a few times in my life have I used it. But you're saying to get used to it and better to heighten also your senses. It's good to
And
play with
you're,
it, but in a serious way every day.
yeah. And yeah, because it helps you connect with your own intuition. And quite often you'll get a card like, yeah, I don't like that. And you go, I don't like that, put it back. And then that card will just
Right.
keep coming up because that's what you need to know.
Oh,
But oracle cards are not what the way I read oracle cards is more about guidance because we've all got free will, right? So we've all got the ability to change our future, right? So doing a future reading, I very rarely do. Okay. So, and it's always best to ask, what do I need to know, rather than yes or no answers.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Well, the pendulum is good for yes and no answers
Yeah.
for that time, right? But as
Yeah.
far as the cards, what do I need to know? And how do you explain to those who maybe don't know as much as you and I? Well, definitely not as much as you, but how do you explain the feeling of knowing that this is the answer? If you can't hear messages, how do you know?
You just have to trust. It's trust,
Uh-huh.
trust, trust. And
Uh-huh.
you cannot make, and the cards will come up and you'll go, really? That's just what I was thinking. Or I said that to someone this morning. I have that all the time. I say something, I turn one card over at a time, because as sure as eggs is eggs, if I turn them all over, I will say, reading the first card, the third card. So I never turn them over now.
Uh-huh.
So, because otherwise people go,
Oh
you
my
were just
God.
reading that card. But no, I wasn't. So as sure
No,
as
yeah.
eggs is eggs, it will come up and you'll go, yeah, okay. Even if you don't want to hear it, you're like, yeah, I know that already. And it's just
Uh-huh.
reconfirming what you already know.
So it's a matter of stop doubting and just trust whatever that, and you can't think too much. I used to be monkey brain, but it's just what you think it is or what you thought it is. That's
Yeah,
probably it, or that is
yeah,
it.
yeah. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
Uh,
The first thought is what it is.
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And so do you think tapping, like tapping of the third eye would help for this type of
Yeah.
gift
Yeah,
to heighten?
I love EFT. I love tapping. Yeah, definitely. Definitely would. EFT is a really powerful tool to be using.
Oh, there's so much information. It's such cool information out there. And so you don't have to do a full one, but what is you do remote, right?
Yeah.
So anyone, we're going to drop your website down below as well. So if anybody's interested, they go to your website, they can schedule a remote clearing or a reading. So that's going to be cool. I will probably do a full one soon with you. That'll be super
Cool.
cool. But
There's
is it
also
something that right
free
now? Uh-huh.
there's also free meditations under the blogs on my website.
Okay, so you'll give that to me. We'll post it down below in
Yeah.
the description for sure. So, how do you feel like sensing right now when you're talking with people, is there a sense that you feel like, can you read me and give us some fun for the audience? Like,
Oh,
what
let
do
me pull
you
a card
see
for
or
you.
feel?
Let me pull a card for
Let's do
you.
some fun.
My
You're going to
cards are
inspire
right
me because
next
I
to
have
me.
my, and
Right.
mine is hidden because I barely touch it. You're inspiring
Okay.
me.
So this
Okay,
is the Angel
hold on.
Guides Oracle by Carl Gray. And we're going to do, what does everyone watching this need to know? And I have to put my glasses on because I can't see.
Okay, that's
Okay.
cool.
What does everyone watching this
Everyone listen
pod,
up. Everyone listen up.
what do they need to know today? What, or the time they're watching this podcast? What do they need to know? Yes. Yes.
Let's see what this is. What is
This
this?
is the only deck I have with yes or no. So this is telling us we're on the right path. And yes, we should be using oracle cards. And look how beautiful it is. It's full of
It's
it.
gorgeous.
So go find yourself some oracle cards. And there's no right or wrong.
That's
Just
so
make sure they've got a
cool.
book. If you're a total beginner, make sure they've got a book. And
To help teach you how to use
yeah,
it.
and go to the ones that shout at you. When you look at the
Yes.
shelf or you look on Amazon or wherever, go for the ones that stand out, and there will be one that really stands out. And use oracle cards.
That is so cool. But how is this not perfect of all that deck? Look at what
I
pulls
know
out.
I think there's 44 cards in that deck.
You're kidding me. So, see, and this is a podcast, and the people who will be watching this is in their midlife looking for things to uplift and high vibe and just, deeper into the nature of life, universal laws. And how cool is that? And we have you as our guest. Oh my gosh. Well, I gotta go and get myself a deck.
My favorite decks are Carl Gray's and Colette Baron Reed's. I
I've
love
heard of
both
him,
of
yes.
them. Yeah.
And probably everyone can find it also on Amazon. Do you sell it?
I don't sell oracle
Okay.
cards. So yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
Amazon
Okay.
or bookstores. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. But you say we still could use the tarot, just a
Yeah.
different meaning. It's more strong of a message using the
It's
tarot cards.
no, it's just for me, it's a different type of message. The traditional tarot I find quite dark, but then as I said, I've
Uh-huh.
just bought myself a tarot deck. So, and
Uh-huh.
because they're pretty, I like pretty. So
Uh-huh.
if they call to you,
Yes.
just go with what calls to you. So it doesn't
Yes.
need to be oracle, it can be tarot if that's what calls you. There's no right or wrong.
Yes.
These are just tools to help you along the way and help you get clarity and guidance on where you are and where you want to go.
100%. Oh, there's so much out there in this world, so much unseen. For those that they're in a home and just feeling a little bit uneasy. Also, clutter's not good to have in a home either
Yeah.
because it holds a lot of that energy and spirit. So,
Yeah.
what do you suggest for them feeling a little bit uneasy? What should they do?
Okay, so there's a number of reasons that you should space clear. And there's a number of reasons people come to me. It could be they're not sleeping, could be the property's not selling,
Uh-huh.
could be they just want to know that if the history they've been told about the property comes up. I never want to know the history. I want to know why they're coming to me, but I don't want to know anything
Uh-huh.
else, right? Because
Uh-huh.
then ego might get in the way, and I don't want that. That's not where
Good
I'm
for
at.
you. Good for you. Yeah.
Um,
Good.
so yeah, any number of strange smells, strange moving items, all number of reasons. But anyone can space clear. But first, protect your energy. If you already have a practice, do that. If not, go to my website. It's free, right? And then
Perfect. Perfect.
start with put a joss stick on, light a candle, and start clapping. And you will hear the energy change just by clapping. And you do all along the walls, in the corners where you can't reach, just with the intention. And then I use Palo Santo and sage, and I burn
I
those
have those.
again. Yeah, again, make sure you get to the corners with your intention. Bells and a singing bowl. And then I end with a prayer to clear the energy and
Bells
program.
and a singing bowl.
Yeah, you don't have to. The clapping and the incense will do a job. It won't be a deep clean, but it will
No, but
be
it
a
can
job.
help
Yes,
to
definitely.
lessen it. And why it does that? Why? Does the spirits not like that, or is it just help to,
It
get rid of the energy, or how
yeah,
does that work?
it clears the energy. The Palo Santo and sage, the smoke is a cleanser and clears the energy, and sound is a great healer,
Uh-huh.
and the sound clears the energy. But
Yes, yes,
everyone
yes.
should try clapping, right? Because you don't need anything other than your hands, and you can hear the energy shifting.
Yes, actually, I was researching that clapping is huge. I do that a lot in chakra healing. And back in the day, in the ancient days, we all give an applause now, but the
Yeah.
origination was because it was meant for clearing energy, good energy, and getting rid of any negativity. So it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense as when we're congratulating. But it's cool when when you go back in
Oh
the
yeah.
ancient days,
Space
like you
clearing
said, we've
is
lost
ancient.
touch.
This is
Yes.
original. If you look back at any ancient civilization, they had cleansing rituals of some description. They used the sage, they used Palo Santo, they used salt, they did their own rituals. What I do is sort of like a mixture of everything that I found works. But if you look at any ancient civilization, they had their own rituals that they did to clear the energy.
Uh-huh. For a reason, yes. And back then, they were way more spiritually gifted and inclined than we are now because majority, I mean, since you were little, you had that extra sense and you protected yourself,
Yeah,
since to now to this day. But there's people who just maybe are not aware, maybe they're dabbling in it or whatever, but majority, because they're not in tune with the whole, that there is this whole spiritual world, we can't sense it a lot because, like you mentioned, we are dumbed down and brainwashed by other things and media and noise, in this world for a reason to keep us in this box. That's
yeah,
what I feel
I
anyways.
agree. I agree.
So but back then, yeah, back then, imagine how powerful they were. That's why they were able to do so much miraculous healings, because
Yeah,
everything was so much more spiritual, clearing, and everybody was so heightened.
yeah, yeah. And they call it now. We call it alternative, but actually, it's not. It's the original.
Thank you. Yes, true. I agree. I agree. So it's a cool movement that's kind of going on, that we're kind of, a lot of more people are finding this again and being more comfortable speaking about it and going back to the original, bringing back the old ancient wisdom, ancient healings. It's so
Yeah,
powerful.
it really is. And that's why if I also do past life regressions, and I have past life
What is
memory.
that?
So it you go into a deep meditative state with guidance, and then you go to the root cause of any issues you may have, or people can do it just for interest. But I always like, what was the lesson you need from that lifetime that you're bringing through? But the lifetimes I remember, I was a witch, and it didn't end well
Oh.
because it was before they started hunting witches. We were using all of this, and we were too powerful. There wasn't enough money
Yes,
in it, so they had to make
yes,
witches and herbalists and anyone like that
yes,
dangerous.
yeah. And that's how we have today. It's still thought of the scary witches, of course. It depends on how you use it. You have the people who want to use it for evil and selfishness, right?
Yeah,
That's one area. But then you have good witches. It's not meant
yeah,
to be bad, but they wanted to turn everybody away from that because it was the natural healing. It's
yeah,
nature, it's natural, it's part of this gift that we can use, that we have available inside all of us. We just have to tap in and tune
yeah.
into it.
And it's free because we've all got it. We just
I'm
need
so
to
glad you
work
said
out
that.
how to use it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so then the first step to try to start practicing daily, besides the deck of cards, which everybody's gonna get probably after watching this. Once you get that, walk us through what we should do as our first time practice with that.
Find time to be quiet. So it doesn't mean you have to sit quietly. You can do it washing up. Just have no noise in the background. And
Uh-huh.
journaling. Journaling's really powerful. It gets all of that monkey mind out, whatever's going
Yep.
round and round in your head. Throw it onto a piece of paper so that you have some order. It really does help. Yeah, oracle cards, space clearing, and you can do that yourself as well.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds like a fun weekend time to do that.
yeah,
Space clear first.
yeah.
Grab your deck and your book. It's quiet time. Light your Palo Santo on the side. This is what I do already. But make it like a fun ritual because
Yeah.
it's self-care. It's you time. You're getting in tune. This is not evil at all. This is natural,
No, it's
free.
always,
God gave this gift to us.
yeah. And I always, when I do any work, it's for the greatest good of all. So I work with estate
Yes.
agents, and sometimes the vendors don't even know that I've space cleared their house. And that's fine because I'm working for the greatest good of all.
Ah, I love a good energy to you. I love that. Yes. So like this, how powerful can that be?
Yeah.
Exactly. how would you protect yourself from those that are using energy for evil intention?
They can't get near me. I
How would you say we could protect ourselves?
don't buy into the fear, because fear dumbs us down and makes us more vulnerable. Know you're protected. If you don't feel safe, call in Archangel Michael to protect you. And if you can't remember his name, that's fine. Just say, thank you, angels, for protecting me.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for helping
Uh-huh.
me feel safe. And if you say thank you when
Uh-huh.
you're asking the angels for something, it's easier for them to step in and help you.
Okay. Those that say they have these episodes or they feel like something dark has come to them, but it's because when you're in a weak state, not strong and not being protected and asking for protection, it's easy for them to come through, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think our biggest challenge is raising our vibration and
Mm-hmm.
vibrating at a higher level. So turn the news off, because let's face it,
Uh-huh.
it's never anything uplifting on there,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
No.
it's fine to be
And that's for a
informed.
reason.
Yeah, it's fine to be
Uh-huh.
informed, but don't be inundated. And also
Uh-huh.
those people that drain your energy. You know, the people that you meet that the first thing they say is, "Oh, did you hear about so and so?" "Oh, isn't it bad this happened?" Distance yourself as much as possible from these people, because they will drain your energy and bring you down.
Oh,
And
yes.
just
And that's
where can
very
you,
hard, but that's a very important thing.
yeah, and where can you have some more fun? You know, where can you dance a bit more? Where can you laugh a bit more to raise your vibration? Because when you're at that vibration, the negative stuff doesn't have such an effect on you.
Gosh, that's so true. And all of that together for everyone listening, try to do that on a constant daily basis because we need to be as high vibe as possible with everything else going out there and
Yeah.
all these different waves out there going on, even bad intention or like you said, draining people, toxic people, more lower vibe, especially as an empath and anyone out there that is just very sensitive to energies. In order to protect yourself then from that is just stay as high vibe as possible
Yeah.
and limit
And
yourself boundaries.
yeah, and that's not saying you will never have a negative thought, because we're humans and we all do. But if you catch yourself
Hmm.
having a negative thought, you see my kitten in the background.
Yes, cutie patoot. Yes. Ooh,
um,
kittens, cats too, right?
yeah,
Cats are
too.
angels. They can speak.
This,
That's your next book.
oh yeah, maybe not. This one's naughty. I think he's trashed my kitchen while I've been on here, but hey.
Oh no, knowing that mommy's busy.
Um, yeah.
So
So
funny.
when you have a negative thought, if you notice it, say clear, cancel, delete. And
Ooh, I
forgiveness.
like that.
Yeah, because we're going to have them. We're human. We can't escape them totally. You know, I don't know anyone that can escape them totally. Um, and also forgiveness, yourself and others. And the really good way
Uh-huh.
of doing that is, if you've got something playing in your head, write it down. Write down what that person did or what you did that you wish you hadn't, and then read it back to yourself and say the mantra, I forgive you, thank you, I'm sorry, I love you, until you don't go, yeah, I don't forgive you, I don't love you, until it doesn't feel like a lie, right? Because at first it'd be like,
Yes. No matter
I'm
how
not
many times.
sorry.
Right, right. Like, I
Right.
don't want to say sorry. No, I
Yeah.
don't love you. Ew,
No,
gross. Yeah.
exactly. So until it doesn't feel like a lie, until you can say it easily and do it gently. Don't try and do everyone and everything at the same time. But that is just like a weight being lifted off your shoulders. And it takes as long as it
That's so
takes.
good.
And when you think you've done, um, you won't be, because something will come up and then you're like, bang, I thought I dealt with that. And you have to do it again. It's like an onion, there's
Well,
different
that's
layers.
life.
Yeah,
Yes. Different layers, and it comes up for a reason. Everybody here listening, who's feeling that they just want to keep uplifted and just keep living that better, best life, their highest self, to just do this clearing that beautiful Sam has told you and incorporate that into your lifestyle and it just let's keep as high vibe as possible
Yeah.
and it will make a huge difference. All these little tiny tips, just incorporate it. Maybe not every single thing, but just start doing it and then you'll do it naturally. And that's back in the original days. This is why everybody was so just peaceful and healing because we're constantly clearing themselves and putting good foods within them and blessing and intentional with everything that they put in their body and their food and water. Water is a whole other level. And just to keep high vibe as possible.
Yeah. And also, we're changing the world by doing that because not one of us individually can have a positive effect on the whole world. But what we can do is change ourselves. And the higher we vibrate, it's like throwing a stone into a puddle. It ripples, and we have a ripple
Yes.
effect then. So if the world isn't what you want it to be, which let's face it, we're in a flux at the moment, and it's not many people
Uh-huh.
would say that it's great right now. So what we can do is change ourselves. Vibrating higher changes the people around us, which changes our community, which changes our country, which changes our world. So it starts with us as individuals.
Yes. Oh, that's so powerful to end this with. That's it. And that's part of why no matter what you're doing, what I'm doing, what other people are doing, high vibe, share that love, share the knowledge that you have, and let's raise our vibration because it raises the whole world as a whole and our consciousness, everything is raising. That's so beautiful. That's so powerful.
Yeah, and do what feels right for you because it's not one size fits all either. So if you like guided meditations, fantastic. If you don't, then just don't listen to music or the radio or whatever when you're washing up. That's good enough. It's whatever works for
That's
you.
good enough.
Everything, whatever you decide works for you is good enough. There's no right or wrong.
Yes. For that moment in your life, exactly. You don't like that stuff, go clap your hands randomly in your
Yeah,
room and just raise whatever you're
yeah,
comfortable with.
yeah.
So good, so good. This is fun. I want to just have a glass of wine or sangria with you over there in Spain and chat all night long.
Well, you
So
better come
many more
over.
things to talk about. Yes. Oh, I have never been to Spain, but oh my gosh, what a conversation. I would love to chat with you and hang with you. It's so good. Okay, so leave us with your book. I love the title of it. I'm going to get a copy.
Yeah,
It's called Echoes Within the Walls. Tell us about it, please.
yeah.
What's it about? What's it going to tell us?
Echoes Within Walls gives you the basics of how to space clear, how I got involved with space clearing, and it also tells you about some of the amazing buildings and characters that I've met along the way.
Oh, characters as in the spirits that have spoken to you.
Yeah. Some aren't very
Oh
nice,
my
but some
gosh.
are lovely.
Oh, this is so cool. Okay, we need to get the book.
And you can get it
Sam,
on
you
from any bookshop or on Amazon, on any digital platform as well.
congratulations. That's such a
Thank you.
cool accomplishment. And so there's more to come. I will totally get the book. And I just had a blast with you and so much more to chat about. And I just thank you so much for your awesome presence, your
Thank you.
calm presence, and so beautiful.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
I've
you for
really
your
enjoyed
time.
it.
Yes, good energy, good energy. Thank you, hon.